Hey guys, Angus from Spotted Hog Airsoft here today with another Airsoft video review. Now today's video review I'm really excited about because it's of a product that I've always wanted to get my hands on, I've always wanted to purchase, but just never gone through with it. However, today, thanks to Airsplat.com, they sent me it out, and I'm ready to do the video review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the M18A1 Airsoft Claymore landmine. It's a pretty interesting little product, and if you're interested in picking it up, there'll be a link down below in the description to Airsplat.com where you can purchase it for $100. And this is obviously an Airsoft item for enhancement of the game, to make it a little bit more realistic, take it away from just AGs firing back and forth at each other, and I'm excited to show it to you guys and test it out, so let's hop right into this video. Alright, so hopping right into the video, let's take an initial close-up look at the mine itself. Now externally it's constructed pretty solidly. Your legs and all your trigger pieces are constructed of metal, but the main piece you're obviously seeing here would be your plastic OD green outer shell. Now this is made of a pretty solid and durable plastic. It's pretty thick. However, that being said, I wouldn't recommend trying to drop this a lot of times in the field because you never know. After a couple times being dropped on a hard surface, I could definitely see it being cracked. Now when you open up the mine inside, you'll notice that all the internal parts are really constructive metal. All your brackets, all your springs, all your screws, etc. Of course that red piece there is simply an elastic cloth, however, which will hold your BBs as you'll see later in the video. Internally everything's set up rather well. It's just a pain to get shut. Of course, before you shut it, you should make sure that you have fresh batteries in the mine. This mine does include two 9-volt batteries, and that's what it'll take when those eventually die. They're held underneath here, which is simply held in place by 2 screws. Very easy access, just take a small screwdriver and pop it open. It's great they use 9 volts and not some weird battery you have to track down. Those batteries obviously power the mine itself, and you can turn the mine on simply by flipping the switch downward towards its open faceplate. You'll know the mine is in the on position and ready to go when this bright red light lights up on the side of the mine. Anyway, once you've gone about making sure the mine is actually turned on and you're ready to shut it up, this is where things can get a real pain because there's so much force that'll trigger the BBs and cause them to fly out later that you have to press all that force down and get it shut underneath the faceplate. So what I'd recommend to do is push downward, hold these downward into position with one hand, and at that point swing shut the faceplate itself. Then you can press the mine shut, make sure it's locked, and set it ready to go. At that point it's locked, however be careful because a simple trigger can cause it to pop open. When you have the mine all locked up and secure, I'd certainly recommend placing this safety piece, which is simply a small little bit of plastic, in the back there to ensure that it doesn't go off prematurely. Now once you've gone ahead and carefully shut the mine, made sure it's secured with the safety in the back, now you can go ahead and load the mine with BBs. It's very simple, just fill the BBs through this small hole in the front using a speed loader, or although I haven't owned one in years, one of those nozzle-tipped BB bottles. At that point you'd simply go ahead, just drop the BBs right in. This thing's supposed to hold about 100 BBs total, and that's probably what you want to fill it with for the maximum amount of BBs coming out, obviously in the biggest spread. Personally, I'd recommend lighter BBs such as .12 gram or .20 so you get a really nice shrapnel and flying BB effect. The metal legs of the mine are hinged so that you can go ahead and put them in all sorts of different positions depending on what kind of angle you want the mine to have, and also they're pointed at the bottom so you can actually stake them into the ground. So let's say a gust of wind comes through, don't worry, that mine's not going to fall over on its back. Alright, so with the mine set up and ready to go, loaded with BBs, there are a couple different ways you can actually detonate it. The first and more practical version would be using the included little remote control that comes with the mine. This is a pretty simple action. When you go ahead and push in this button, the mine is supposed to detonate. Of course, that being said, it doesn't always work. So maybe this next method is the more practical version. You'll notice that the trigger switch itself actually has a small hole in it, and what that's made for is so you can go ahead and take a piece of string, preferably probably a little bit thicker and stronger than this one, and slide it through and actually make a sort of tripwire to go with the mine. You can then tie the other end of the string to, say, a tree, a stump, or something like that, or even just hold it in your hand so you can give it a tug when somebody walks by, still kind of giving you that far-off feel with the transmittance, just not in the form of the remote. This is pretty cool, gives you a little bit more realism, and also it's a very simple mechanism. As soon as that trigger is hit, the mine will detonate. Just be very careful because sometimes even though the safety's in, this thing can still go off as soon as you remove it if things just aren't lined up perfectly. Alright, so you guys got a chance there to see a few glimpses of this thing actually in action. A little disappointed I didn't get the actual arc of EVs on camera, but it is still pretty cool when it goes off. That being said, that is what this mine is. It's a cool factor. Personally, this would probably be good for that guy who just has to have it because it's cool, such as myself. Perhaps a field owner who wants to use it for games, or just someone playing a sniper or base defense kind of role that they want to have this there as a little bit permanent setup portion of the game as well. As far as actually lugging this thing around in the field, I think that's incredibly impractical because A, we saw that it's very hard to shut. Let's say you're under fire, how the heck are you going to shut it? B, you saw when I pulled the safety out, I hadn't even pulled the trigger itself. It had simply jarred while I was moving it and detonated on its own. That'd be a real pain if I'm carrying it around the whole time and I go to take it out and it just pops. The remote control, like I expected, didn't even work. And also something you noticed in that last shot of the mine going off is the fact that just because a couple folds probably weren't lined up correctly in here, only a few of the BBs came out. So you carry this mine around the whole time to shoot 2 BBs off, while the rest of them just kind of hang around in there. So it doesn't always work the greatest. When it does work, it's pretty cool, and I imagine it could be effective as well. If you know you got guys coming through a doorway in a game, you could probably take them all out with it. But bottom line, it's just cool. It's a cool little item. It's not the most practical thing in the world. Great for the guys who have to have it for that feature and say, you know, I've got this Airsoft Claymore. But otherwise, you know, I'm sure there are other ways you could enhance your Airsoft game without investing the 100 on something that is a little bit impractical for actual games. So with that being said, guys, thanks for watching. This has been Spotted Hog Airsoft's review of the Airsoft Claymore mine. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.